Today we are at the Nawakali, the Embassy of Indigenous Peoples. Throughout our work here at the Nawakali, we have received, as an Embassy of Indigenous Peoples, representatives from organizations and nations throughout the world. And the visit by Mr. Boynton and his wife is just another chapter that reaffirms our struggle, our historical struggle of decolonization. And so in that spirit, that the experiences that Mr. Boynton has experienced is one more chapter of our efforts to fight for truth, fight for the global fight, which we know that the efforts, the struggles in Alabama, in Selma specifically, are very much similar to the current issues that we have here in Phoenix. And so it is our honor to receive and welcome the Boynton family as Indigenous peoples. As an African American, we understand that the African part is very important as Indigenous peoples. And so we receive him, his struggles, historical struggles, and we look forward to continue the work which he has carried that torch, but we look upon to the current generation to continue that struggle. So with that, once again, I'd like to thank the Boynton family for their visit. Our house is your house.
Went and visited some students at Mesa Community College, and it was really an honor to be there to listen to Mr. Boynton talk about his experience as an attorney, as a civil rights fighter, and working with the different organizations like SNCC and all, the Student for Nonviolent, and all those other organizations that we kind of tend to forget now. But we forget that the only reason that we're at this point is because there was people like Mr. Boynton and Betty that did this struggle, that committed themselves to helping their people, the African American, and in doing that included all of us, because the moment that you do it for one, and when you fight for rights, then you do it for everybody. And Betty was the one that was on the bridge, one of the first persons to walk on the bridge when I can't remember that that sheriff over there that was kind of a loco, he was a local guy,
Jim Clark.
Jim Clark. Almost like our pile, you could say, They just couldn't get over the fact that we have rights. They just can't get over the fact that just because we're a different color or because we have a different accent, that we don't have any rights. And that really makes me laugh, because if it wasn't for a lot of our people, as we can see by this new movie that came out, Red Tails, how our African American brothers participated in World War II, and how we have done all these things. And sometimes with a lot of discrimination against us when we come back from the service. So welcome.
I want to say buenos dias, good morning to Mr. Boynton and Betty, on behalf of the families that are here in Phoenix and Arizona that are being directly affected and that are still living in a lot of ways the history that they lived, and that continues to be part of the history, but also to remind us that there's a big history of struggle, and there's a big history of people that have done what is necessary in order to make sure that everybody's rights, everybody's human rights are respected. And we want to stop to the racial profiling. We want to stop to the fact that they're trying to take away our basic human rights, like education, the right to read books and decide which books we want to read, the right to send our kids to school, whether or not they can present some kind of their parents have a driver's license, the right to transportation, the right to handle food, the right to work. And those are just some of the basic rights that we have in order to be part of the public, to be considered part of this society, which we are. And no matter how hard they try, they're not going to be able to stop us. It's only a matter of time, and we're very happy here that Mr. Boynton and Betty could help us in our struggle, and we're looking forward to receiving them when they return on the Freedom Bus with many more people that will be here, that will be able to help spread this word, because a lot of people cannot even leave their homes. A lot of people cannot even leave the city. The families can't leave the county. And so what we need is efforts like this, like the Freedom Riders, to come here to take this word, to take the history back and make sure that everybody knows what's happening here, to make sure they know that the struggle is alive and that we're here, we're fighting, and we need your help.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And we are indeed very happy to be here to share with you the problems and everything. The problems that existed in Alabama are the same. I noticed that you have a Sheriff Jim Clark here in Phoenix. It's the same type of mentality, the same type of psychology operating with the dominant society. And the thing is that they have their understanding of history and how they came about to the position that they now occupy. And their understanding of history is based completely on falsehoods. There is an effort, I understand, to cut out in Tucson, Arizona, and statewide the teaching of Mexican history or culture in the schools. And that is very similar to what we experienced in Selma, where there was a tracking system that was instituted by the Board of Education, where black students were allowed to integrate into the formerly all-white schools, but when their kids got to the 6th grade, they were directed and scheduled for classes that would lead to vocational work, vocational schools, but not a college education or not to attend college. That was a tracking that they were geared to go. I've got a daughter, for example, who manages a mall in the Gaston, Alabama community. She also is an honor student at a law school in Birmingham, where she commutes. And she was in this tracking system. She got herself out of it without even telling us that she was in the system before, and we didn't even know anything about the system. We were just discovering what was going on when she says, well, I was tracked, but I managed to get out of it. But she was the exception, and the majority of black kids were trapped in that system until we actually campaigned for weeks and weeks. The campaign took on the taking over of City Hall, the taking over of the mayor's office, and it was a very active type of rebellion that the black community did in order to bring about a change. But it did happen. And I noticed that that is really the same type of philosophy behind the cutting out of these kind of classes for the the students, it is a denial or attempt to deny as much as possible a knowledge of one's own history. And if one does not know his history, one does not know his own self. I think.
I was 15 years old, and I was the one who went, one of the ones who went across the bridge, which I was Jose Williams' scout. We went across the bridge to see was the bridge was clear. Did we see anything? Which we was expecting it was gonna be some kind of violence, but we were shocked to find out. We were shocked, and when we went across the bridge, we looked and we didn't see anything. We come back to the church and we say everything was clear, and so they formed the line. People got in the march and everything, and they went across the bridge. And when they got a little ways across the bridge, that's when the state troopers come out with the horses. But see what they had, while we say everything was clear, because they had the horses down up under the bridge and had some behind the bridge. And they come out, they beat, they had whips, they shot tear gas. It was just an awful day. And they beat, and Mrs. Boynton, which his mother, they beat her. They intended to kill her because she had started back in 28 in Selma, Alabama. So we worked our way back across the bridge and run and got in a car. And we got in the car, we was on our way back to the church. That's when we got down there on Long Street. We discovered there was the state troopers on horses and things down there. And when they made us get out the car, and when we got out the car, they chased us on horses and whips. And we run up in a lady house. And when we went to the side, wanted to look out, they had the horses going up on the church steps, trying to get in the church. That was the most awful day I could witness in Selma, and I was 15. And down through the years, I was one of the ones who went to jail for tracking, because we took over the city hall and everything, and we went out to the school, and we was giving people's applications and things to fill out for their children so they could be in higher service, not just low. And so it was 3 of us went to jail. That was Attorney Rose Sandler, Alpha, and myself. When we was protesting and everything, we had to keep up with Jim Clark's car. If we didn't keep up with Jim Clark's car, they would beat you, caliprot you. So what they did, they taken us to the National Guard Armory, and we had to push the wall. If they see somebody not pushing the wall, they will caliprot you. And so later on that day, they took us to Camp Selma, which was a prison. And it was dark. So the boys had flooded what in that room they was in, had the cell. And they let the boys out first. And the boys had flooded the cell with water. And they made us go in there, and we stood in the water. And that was in 65. And the tracking was in, I think it was in 88 and 89. We went to jail.